guys, and welcome back. Today I wanted to do a couple little handmade pin buttons, kind of like these with the little pin backs on them. I have lots of these that I just print out and mass produce, but I thought it'd be fun to do some really tiny original artwork. So when I started off, I actually did sketch them digitally, and then I printed them off on this plain printer paper to print it out with, and I had the same opacity set up, and it was on my laser printer, and I realized quickly that if I was going to use this paper, the quality of how it printed was not up to par of what I wanted. It kind of has this like pixelated look to it. But after that, I decided, if we can get that in focus, I decided to switch the types of paper to this one, which is actually the kind that I print my buttons on anyway, so it seemed like a good choice. If you can see that, like, this looks a lot more opaque, even though it's still very thin. It also doesn't have as many like ripples, I guess, in the paper, or inconsistencies, so this was a much better option for what we're doing. I'm going to be using markers, and I've never used markers on this kind of paper before, so we're going to see how that actually plays and how it works. But so the plan going forward is for me to just ink right on top of it with my Micron pens, and then play around with mostly Copic markers and probably a little bit of pencil to add things like blush or smaller details like that. But let's just go ahead and jump right in. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but the reason that I was using these two types of papers is because if you're making pin back buttons like this, the process of crimping it down onto the metal needs to have a very thin piece of paper, very, very thin. I don't remember exactly what the weight is, but I'll list exactly what paper I do use down in the description, because it's a really very thin but really nice paper for printing on. And that's why I use it for my buttons, so it still looks really crisp and has really great colors, but it is also incredibly thin. So that's why I was using those. Usually when I have done markers in the past, I hadn't really quite found my favorite paper, but I do actually like Bristol board. It's a lot thicker than probably would be preferable for watercolors, but I do like the ability to keep blending on it. So that is why I went with this really thin paper. But I actually found too is this presentation paper, which I'm using for the final, it actually kind of has this residue coating, I guess is a better word for it, a coating on top of it, which didn't affect the markers at all, but it did affect my Micron. So as I was using it, the Micron nib would get all clogged up and gunked up a bit, and I'd have to try to clean it out on the other sheet of paper, just the plain printer paper, and it still really stuck to the nib. So I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend this for Microns. At first it wasn't too bad, but the more I used that same marker, the faster and the harder it was to unclear those clogs on the nibs. So that was one unexpected little roadblock that I ran into, but luckily it wasn't too bad. Because everything is so small, I was able to get the line work, or each singular line, done relatively okay. If I had to do like long drawn out lines, it would be a lot less clean and sharp than I would like. But because it's so small, I can get that quick little stroke in before it starts fading out. So that was one of the little like hiccups, but it wasn't too bad. It kind of kept me on my toes, I guess. And in the end, I ended up using Micron fine liners. I also used mostly Copic markers. I think I also had, I don't remember what the other brand is. I have a few random ones from this other brand. I'll list it down below. I was happy with it. But I used those two types of markers. I also used a couple cool erase pencils, as well as a few of my colored pencils, which was really fun to pull those out and use, since they're not something that I use commonly at all. I used to use them a lot when I was younger, so I have a set still, but I use my red quill erase pencil to add just a little bit of blush, and then I use the black one to add more details and actually a little bit of shadow on the whites of the eyes. I forgot it on a couple of the pins for some reason, so I was able to just go back in and very easily shade that in. And then I added a few extra, I don't know if I just said this, strands of hair for the areas that have, or for the characters that had darker hair, or hair that would be able to blend in with having dark strands. And I was actually really happy with the way that these pencils worked on this paper, because maybe the coating, maybe because it just happens to be a really not thin, smooth paper, it went on so glossy and smooth. I've never enjoyed using a colored pencil as much as I did this time around. never. I don't think there's ever been a time where I'm like, yeah, I really enjoy this tactile sensation. But using it today on these few little details, it was eye-opening. It kind of makes me want to try it a little bit more on the right kind of paper, the kind of paper that would get the results that I wanted. I actually ended up going in and adding a little bit of a rim light with a couple of shades of these colored pencils. And that's something that I've kind of tried in the past on different types of papers, and I've never had a good result. But this, it went on so smoothly that one singular stroke of the pencil looked really opaque and sharp, and it didn't look like a pencil. It just looked like this piece of light. I also used it a little bit in areas in the background where I wanted a little bit more of a gradient, and I really liked that. Actually, I did it on top of the blues for the background and just very softly did it. I also, on one of them, had a little bit more of a lined hatch texture, but I think I like the softer blend. But yeah, I think one of them, the one with the heart on her forehead, I created a bit of a blend on the background, which I like too because it covers up a little bit of the heart, so it makes it a little bit more dynamic. But that was also the same color that I had for the highlight, that rim light on the character, so it made it look more like there was this actual external glow or light source that was lighting up everything around her. And it added a lot of light to this very tiny piece of artwork. And I have to say, every time I do tiny art like this, I always expect it or feel like it should take less time than it does. But really, when you're working really small, it just takes that extra bit of focus and time to be able to get the lines just right. So when I work really tiny, sometimes it takes as much time as a bigger piece, not a really big piece, but a bigger piece. So there's kind of the sweet spot, I think, of the right size of something that comes together really quickly. And then when you go smaller, it just starts eating up a bit extra time. But I think that's a good learning thing that I need to learn and remember moving forward, is I always have this very rushed approach to things. So being able to see that sometimes when they're smaller, I'm just trading in time for more detail, for more precision, for more elements that I want to get right. But that's it for today. I actually have these original little pins available at my shop. I think it's kind of fun because they're original artwork, but they're wearable. You can have it around, and they're really cheap, especially compared to other original artwork. So I will have a link down in the description. They're all in one listing over on my shop, and you can choose which variation you want. But yes, I will have a link right down there that'll take you over there, and I will be back on Saturday with another video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you then.